Representative Ruben Gallego is a Marine Corps veteran who has served Arizona since 2014. In the wake of the recent turnover of the House to Republican control, he sat down with Military Times podcast team to talk about recent events and the future of defense bills in Congress. Here's part of that conversation.
Well, on the defense side, I'm going to stay on as ranking member of the Intel Special Operations Committee. I want to continue to do the evolution of really moving special forces away from CT missions to great power competition, to prepare for great power competition, make sure that we're effectively fighting China and Russia in the gray zone, and preparing our allies for future conflict. With that in mind, continue doing a lot of the leadership I've had with the Baltic Security Initiative, an initiative that I created and got funded for the last 3 years and has been extremely important, I think, both to our Baltic countries, but also in terms of messaging to them that we are with them. And then lastly, still working on kind of the greater kind of China competition conversation, whether it comes to making sure that we're degrading China's ability to conquer the future communications world with their ability to penetrate our information markets. And then I think on the defensive side, I think there's going to be this effort by a minority of the Armed Services Committee to try to fight their cultural battles on the Armed Services Committee. And I think it'll be our goal to basically try to not just stop them, but refocus the committee to make sure that we're paying the right attention to the right issues and funding the right programs versus these types of quote unquote woke battles.
The GOP has made clear that they want to investigate the Biden administration's withdrawal out of Afghanistan in 2021. How do you plan to approach or possibly counter the narratives coming out of these investigations by Republicans, especially as they are seeking, to score some political points going into the 2024 re-election campaign, in theory, if Biden decides to run again?
Well, I think legitimate oversight is important, and even legitimate oversight about what happened in Afghanistan is important. But if you're not going to look at this holistically about the decisions that were made prior to us pulling out, like the decisions that were made and the things that were negotiated under Trump, then this is not a real investigation. This is just an investigation to score points, and then I will not be participating in that. I'll try to actually make sure that we are expanding this to make sure that there's true oversight. So I think there should be something we should be looking into what happened, how the decision-making process was made. It's important that we do that. We have after-action reports in the military. We should have after-action reports what happens with our military decisions, but you cannot get a full scope of what happened unless we see everything that went into that.
Speaker McCarthy also reportedly made a handshake agreement with the 20-plus holdouts revolving around sticking to 2022 funding levels, which includes the defense budget for the next appropriations bill. And this idea has gained some traction in traditionally hawkish Republican circles. If this gains traction, do you see a large decrease in defense spending in 2024? Is there a big enough will among the Republicans in the conference?
I don't think there's a big enough will within the Republicans on the Armed Services Committee where we're going to craft this. So the question is, how do you get this out of the floor? And I think, depending how this looks, there could be a possibility for it to go down. Do I think that there's legitimate ways for us to reduce the defense budget? I think there is. I think a arbitrary number is not the way to do it, though. You don't need to take a meat cleaver to defense budget. You should take a scalpel to it. And if somehow these Republicans think that there's $75 billion worth of woke projects in the defense budget, they're definitely not paying attention to the defense budget.
Definitely. And you mentioned that there's some stuff that you could take a scalpel to, not a meat cleaver. Are there certain things you're looking at in the next round of defense appropriations? I'm
going to wait for the budget to really come out so I could actually take a look at it, what the recommended budgets are, so I could actually take a better look at it. But there's always, I think, some legacy platforms that could be retired. I think there's always different types of efficiencies we could find with between reservists and active duty. And also seeing if we can work with our allied partners for them to pick up certain roles and responsibilities in other areas, so that way we could shift our focus to Indo-PACOM or to EUCOM instead of being all over the world with the expenses and logistics that goes with it too.